Hello, and welcome to the Naked Rooster Garage. My name is Ron. My disclaimer is that I'm an old, senile, disabled, half-crazy person. I may not remember the correct terminology, and I may say something wrong. My thought train might get derailed. I can be long-winded at times. I try to break things down so that even beginners can learn. Hello, welcome back to the Naked Rooster Garage. My name is Ron, and today I had to get, I got to do check out some noise on my wife's Impala. I actually drive it more than she does because I live a long way, or work a long way away from where I live. And with gas prices today, it's cheaper on gas. Anyhow, so in order for me to do that, I'm going to have to start up my son's 1979 Chrysler Labaron and move it out of the garage, and then move my wife's car into the garage, jack it up and do all that. There will be a video on that. Anyhow, this car only has, I think, 108,000 miles on it now, and I'll tell you the story on that later on. But anyhow, so what I gotta do here is I'm gonna have to pop the breather top off and fill up the carburetor bowl. I gotta rebuild the carburetor on it. Sometime this summer, because and if you guys can tell me what it is, that'd be great. But I think there's a leaky gasket, because it runs great. It's just every time I park it for any amount of time, it seems like the fuel in the carburetor evaporates out of the bowl. So I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and rebuild the carburetor now. But so I don't know if it's because it's too hot in that area and it's just evaporating, or if it might be a gasket that's leaking, or something along that lines. Anyhow, I'll do a video on it, of course. Like I said, I'm just starting this channel, and this channel is to basically to give people knowledge and help those who want to learn mechanics and don't know where to start. There'll be a lot of self-help, small videos and stuff like that on here, and hopefully as time progresses I'll get into more detailed, larger projects, expansion like that. One thing I do have to do is I have to change the oil in my wife's car. I'll videotape that. Anyhow, so far the only thing I've done to this car is I ended up putting an aluminum radiator in it, because the other one had the cap, where the filler nozzle is, the lip that the cap tightens down on, it kind of like disappeared. So needless to say, the cap wouldn't stay on there, so it'd overheat, blow the antifreeze out. So I just went ahead and bought a nice little aluminum radiator. Had to put an alternator on it. It wasn't charging the battery. Let's just say it was really weak, and it would take quite some time for the battery to charge up. But other than that, I haven't done anything to it. This is an original car. Even has AC. It was well cared for, mostly garage mechanic maintained. Take that for what it's worth, okay? Not trying to badmouth mechanics at shops and stuff like that, or whatever. I know there's some awesome ones out there that really care about their job, and I also know there's some shady ones out there, and the same thing goes for garages, that all they care about is the money, and the more money they get from you, the better off they are. Anyhow, hence that's why I learned basically to do my own automotive, because I couldn't afford to put my vehicles in the shop. I'm no expert by any means. I'm not going to even attempt to say that I am. I'll probably say some of the terminology wrong. And please, some of it I probably don't even know. But anyhow, please put in the comments and let me know. I mean, I have no issue with that. I like criticism. Now, if you're just going to get on there and badmouth me, I'm just going to ignore your comments. Anyhow, I'm an old guy. I lose my train of thought a lot. Sometimes I'll stop during what I'm doing and, just give some general information. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to I have this little gas bottle right here. This actually is a, I don't know, ketchup or mustard bottle or something like that. Picked it up at Walmart. I think it was like $1 or something like that. The nice thing about this is it has a cap on it, and it has a small enough nozzle that it will fit into most of the carburetor, the hole on the top of the carburetor where you can fill the float bowl. Not used to doing these video recordings, so sometimes my camera shuts off. So every now and then, if you see me walk over to the to the cameras, because I'm checking to make sure it's still on. Anyhow, back to what I was saying. These bottles are really great. I mean, you can lay it down with a little cap on it or whatever, and the gas is not going to leak out. As with any flammable substance, paint, lacquer thinner, gasoline, always be safe when you use it, and always store it in a place that is away from flame and stuff like that. Especially if you're going to be welding. Make sure you have no combustible materials around it. And I'll tell you a story on that one later on that recently happened to me. But anyhow, let's get started on this. I'm going to pull you in here closer so you can see what I'm doing. The camera's probably going to be a little wobbly because I'm going to have to move it around a little bit. I apologize for that. I'm not very steady. I'm an old guy. Okay. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, so what I'm doing here basically is I'm just taking the top of this breather off. And by the way, this is a Slant 6 225 in here, and it's called the Super 6. Okay, the reason it's called the Super 6 because it has the wonderful 2-barrel option instead of the 1-barrel. Most of them came with a 1-barrel, or at least that's how it was explained to me. Alright, so basically all I'll do is just kind of tip it up here out of the way, so it don't fall down. There's a heater hose here. I don't know if you can see it very well. See if I can move you over here a little bit so maybe you can see a little bit better. Okay, right here is a little duct hose that pulls hot air off of your exhaust and brings it in through the air cleaner. I'm not going to get into explaining this today because I got to get this stuff done. Anyhow, so like I said, this is a 2-barrel carburetor, and it depends on the type of carburetor where the location is, but there's usually a hole somewhere around in the what I call the throttle body. Okay. I know that's not quite the right term for it, but anyhow, so there's a hole in here, and you can, if you don't have gas in your carburetor, rather than sitting there and keep cranking your engine so the fuel pump will push it up and fill up the bowl, you can actually put gasoline in there. And that's what I'm getting ready to do right now. Again, be careful when you do this. Try not to spill it on your intake. Each carburetor is different as far as the amount that you put in there. I just, put a few ounces in there and dab a little down, squirt a little down there in the carburetor. The other thing I've noticed about this carburetor, another reason I want to rebuild it, is the choke kind of sticks on it too. All right, so let me see if she'll crank. Okay, battery's a little low, no big deal. I'll just pull my wife's car up here and throw jumper cables on and jump it, so it'll take just a minute. All right, for those that are just starting driving or, just starting getting interested in repairing your own automobiles, it's always good to carry a set of jumper cables with you. I have pretty much a set in each one of my vehicles. And just in case either I need a jump or somebody else needs a jump. Let's zoom you back out here. So okay, so I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but right or wrong or indifferent, when I get ready to hook up jumper cables to a vehicle, and I know a lot of the newer ones you're not supposed to jump it, or they have their own special connection for the jumper cables. Anyhow, one thing I like to make sure I do is I'll take the ground and just kind of clip it on here on the cable like this, or the positive, it doesn't matter. That way, while I'm wiggling the cables around, I don't bump these two together, because remember, we're hooking this first to a good battery. Now I know some people say, oh, hook it to the dead one first and then hook it to the the good one, or the vehicle that's being used to jump the other one. It's a personal preference. This is the way I do it. Not saying this is the only way to do it, but I do this so that they don't touch together and arc out. Then you take the jumper cables. Most of them are labeled. Red is always your positive. Black is always your negative or your ground. That's pretty much industry standard. However, if you get somebody else's jumper cables, they may have been repaired and you might have 2 black ends on it, 2 red ends, whatever. Then you might have to actually trace the conductor out, the cable here, out and find out which end is which. Hopefully you don't run into that case, but it is possible. So anyhow, I like to hook the positive up first. And on this particular vehicle, yeah, I could hook the positive up there. I just like to hook it straight to the battery. Alright, so one thing you really have to be careful with, and I almost screwed up here because I was talking. Make sure you put the red lead on the positive for the battery, the positive cable. If you don't, you might have some issues. Now let me rephrase that, you will have issues. Every battery is, well, I'd say most batteries are set up different. Sometimes the positive's on the left, sometimes the positive's on the right. Hopefully it's clearly labeled, or at least labeled to where you can see it. Okay, another thing too, if you replace your battery cables or your clamps, okay, they make red and they make black. They usually sell them as a set, but in some places you can get them as a single, okay? I would suggest that you always try to get a red and black set. That way you can put the red one on the cables that are positive and the black one on the ground cables or the negative, okay? Not always are the cables that's going to come in to your positive terminal, not always are those cables going to be red. Some people just buy a cheap black one and, you know, bolt it up there, run it to the starter or solenoid, whichever. If you can, and I think the black's cheaper anyhow, but anyhow, if you can, use a red cable. If you can't, okay, at least use a red terminal. And again, I like to hook them straight to the battery post. And I always hook up the positive first. Okay, so depending on how bad your or how dead your battery is, you may have to let the jumper car sit there and charge up the dead battery or the low battery for a little bit. I'm hoping that's not the case with this, but if it is, it is what it is. And you'll hear me say that a lot. Don't get upset when you're working on things. Yes, it can be frustrating, and especially when you need that vehicle, okay? It's like your only vehicle and you need it to get to work, you need to get to school. For those teenagers just, you know, just starting to drive and stuff like that, whatever the case is. And you will see me upset sometimes in these videos, and I'll probably say things that are inappropriate. I apologize for the inappropriate things because I don't like to cuss, but sometimes it just it slips out. Anyhow, best thing to do if you start getting frustrated, just walk away. You know, but walk away, have a drink, you know, whatever your preference is. You know, some water, you know, whatever the case is. Okay. Anyhow, and then come back after you've cooled down. So anyhow, I'm just talking right now because I want letting this battery just kind of get a little bit more juice from the jumper vehicle. When you use the jumper packs, they're little handheld carry packs. Same principles apply as jumper cables. Always make sure you put the red one to the red or the positive. And I keep saying red or positive because not always you're going to find red, especially if they're just lead terminals or clamps. But anyhow, always make sure you put the red lead to the positive and the black lead to the negative. Now I know some people say, well, you should hook the negative to the engine, to the engine, the ground, or whatever, and that's fine. It works that way too. I just prefer not to do it that way. For me, it's just simpler because if my battery's low or dead, I'm getting juice straight from the jumper vehicle, and I keep calling it jumper vehicle, but anyhow, just for easy terminology. You'll find that a lot of times I will talk at a lower level. It's not to insult anyone's intelligence. It's to help those who have minimal knowledge about autos and whatever it else is I'm doing, so that they will better understand. Because if you understand something, you can improve upon that. Anyhow, so just make sure that even when you're using the jumper pack, that you put the red cable to the positive side of the battery and the negative to the negative side of the battery, or the black side. Again, if you are not sure and they're both just straight lead, no paint, or if they're both the same color, two things you can do is you can look on your battery. Sometimes it's not easy to see, but you can look on your battery and there'll be a plus on the positive side and negative on the negative side, obviously. The other thing you can do too is you can actually find out which wire goes to your starter solenoid or down to your starter, and if it goes down to your starter or your starter solenoid, as in the case of older vehicles, that's your hot lead, your positive. Okay, I'm gonna give this a shot and see how this goes. So, like I said, I have a little bit of an issue with the choke on this, and not worried about it. I'm going to rebuild the carburetor. No expert at it. Basically, tear it apart, replace the pieces, and put it back together. Okay, and then hope that I can adjust it the right way. There are proper ways to tune a carburetor, and I don't recommend a lot of people on YouTube, but if you look up YouTube channel Thunderhead 289, I believe, he's a Ford guy, but he has an extreme amount of knowledge on carburetors, and he loves to share. Okay, very easy to understand. Okay, most of what I know about carburetors I learned from him. So, like I said, I'm by no means an expert. Okay, so anyhow, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this breather back on. Make sure you put your air tube down here on, because as I understand it, and I'm going to try to explain it in layman terms, So it pulls the hot air off here, off of your exhaust manifold, and that helps to heat up the fuel in your carburetor so that it burns cleaner, or it's more of a complete burn. Now this valve here, I can't remember what it's called, but it's supposed to help adjust it based on the temperature and the vacuum of the carburetor and all of this. That's just the basic of it. I do have to figure out where some vacuum lines go, and one of the things I like about old cars is most of them, most of it just weathered away. Most of them will have some kind of vacuum routing diagram. In this case, the Labaron's is up in the top left-hand corner, or on the driver's side cowl there. I'm sorry, passenger side cowl. Alright, so like I said before, this isn't an old original engine. Hasn't had any, other than general maintenance, it hasn't had anything done to it. Alright, same thing. When you go to remove the cable, okay, I like to take the ground off first, flip it on there. And I know some of y'all are going to say, well, it's going to cut through the cable. Well, yeah, you could. You just have to be careful how you put it on there. And you don't have to leave it on there. It's just a temporary there. You know, a couple seconds till you disconnect it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the other one. Alright, so I got that disconnected. I'm going to probably going to stop the video here for a moment. I'll start it back up when I get moving around. But I'm going to move the Impala out of the way and then adjust my ramps in here so I can drive the Labaron out. Okay, so you see the ramps here. Let me turn this. Okay, I had to build these because me and my buddy put that, and my wife put the concrete barrier in there to keep the air from blowing in underneath. And so it ended up being too tall to get the cars in and out. So I just built some makeshift ramps until I get the concrete in there. On the Labaron, the other reason I think part of the problem is the carburetor is because there's a hesitation when I go to take off sometimes, and it's like it sputters out. So I'm thinking that might be, I think it's called the accelerator pump. Either that or one of the diaphragms in there is maybe have a pinhole or something in it. Anyhow, so let me get this pulled out.